Welcome into the channel, everyone. My name is Kyle Yates. Today we're running through a one-round Superflex rookie mock draft for 2026. Let's get to it. All right, welcome. Hey, my name is Kyle Yates. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, click that bell to get notified for when new content drops. It's been a minute, and I have been in the bunker here. I've been going through the college tape. I've been diving into some of these prospects here as we get ready for the 2026 NFL Combine, which is right around the corner, and then the NFL Draft will be here before we know it. We got to get ready for our rookie mock drafts, and what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to just take a look at a Superflex rookie mock draft. I'm going to phrase this as more of what I expect your rookie mock draft could look like. And then I'm going to talk about my takeaways on these players based on the film evaluation. So really quickly, just how I enter into prospect evaluation is I go through and I study 3 games of all 22 tape on each of these prospects. And then that's my film aspect, my film phase of the evaluation. Then I'll go into advanced statistics, and I will be able to look at some of these advanced metrics to be able to either confirm what I saw on tape or to be able to say, hey, there's a gap here between what I saw versus what the stats are telling me. I need to go back and reevaluate. And then I will go into combining that with injury history and just their prospect profile and all that, and then taking into the NFL Combine information there with their athletic testing to really kind of carve out and create a full prospect profile for these players to make sure that I'm as educated as I can be going into my Dynasty rookie drafts, and I want to do that for you guys as well. So without further ado, let's get into what the top 12 picks of a Superflex rookie mock draft could look like here in your league. All right, let's start it out here at the 101. This is going to be no surprise, but it's going to be Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback out of Indiana. 6'5", 225 pounds, obviously coming off of a fantastic year where he wins the Heisman Trophy, wins the national championship, wills his team to that victory over Miami. If you've paid any attention to college football, you know who Mendoza is. But I think that it's important to be able to kind of go into the reason why he's worthy of the #1 overall pick in your Dynasty rookie draft. And it's not necessarily because I believe that he has this immense upside or is a pure, like, just raw, like super talented prospect. That's not necessarily the case. He comes with an incredibly high floor. And I think we have to immediately put it into the context that the comps for him based on my evaluation are Jared Goff with a little bit more mobility. I've seen a young Matt Ryan thrown around as far as a comp, and I think those are valid. Really accurate at all 3 levels of the field. You saw a heavy RPO offense there at Indiana, so not necessarily asking him to go into pro-style reads and taking a 7-step drop and being able to tick through progressions with 1, 2, 3. I think that he can get there. He's shown that he's a quick processor, but his accuracy is his calling card. Able to throw on back shoulder throws deep downfield and put that ball exactly where it needs to go. He presents some mobility. He's not going to be utilized as an extension of the run game for an NFL offense, but if he is forced out of the pocket, he can pick up some additional yardage. He would be someone that I would look at in that like 15 to 20 rushing yards per game, kind of in that territory, not a Caleb Williams, not a Drake May, certainly not a Kyler Murray, that type of like athletic profile. That's just not what you're going to get with Mendoza. But great size for the position, really tough, just the tenacity that he plays with, that he's able to fight through, take some really solid hits. The thing with him is I think we are going to have to expect, not just necessarily from a landing spot where he's already being projected to be the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft to the Las Vegas Raiders. Then we have a ton of concerns about the offensive line, the ecosystem that he would be a part of there. But I think that we have to expect a little bit of an adjustment period for Mendoza going to the next level. And that is because of the offense that he played in. And if you do have a offensive coach there, offensive coordinator, whether that is Las Vegas or somewhere else, that is going to ask him to line up under center and really be more of an NFL type quarterback, which he eventually needs to get to, I think he's going to have some growing pains. I think he can get there, but we've seen with other quarterbacks coming out of college where if they don't have the ecosystem, if they don't have the offensive line in front of them, and they have to make those adjustments on the fly and really learn an NFL style offense, they're going to struggle. And so He is worth the #1 overall pick, though, because of the lack of quarterback depth behind him. So it's really a supply and demand situation that pushes Mendoza up the board here, where we're not going to see another quarterback go within the top 5, maybe even within the top 10 picks. All right, #2 overall pick, that's going to be Jeremiyah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. If you have been paying attention to any other analysts out there, there has been a lot of conversation here recently that has been about, is Jeremiyah Love a generational prospect? And I think this has been the conversation that we have every single year, and that's overusing the term generational, right? But where we had that conversation with Ashton Jeanty, we've had that with Bijan Robinson in years past. Is this a generational type prospect? In short, in my opinion, based on watching the tape, no, he's not a generational prospect. He's a very good one. 6 foot, 214 pounds, brings great size to the position. Doesn't necessarily play like you would expect a 6 foot, 214 pound running back, right? When you hear that, those metrics, you instantly kind of create a narrative. Okay, this is a big bruising type running back. That's not necessarily his game. He can force missed tackles, but he is an absolutely elite receiving option out of the backfield. He is going to be able to step into an NFL offense and operate the way that Matt Forte did. And that's a popular comp, one that I actually kind of like. Matt Forte was a little bit bigger, 6'2", 218 pounds, but very similar type skill set where you're going to be able to pepper this guy with targets, not just as a, hey, you're going to leak out of the line from the line of scrimmage and run a curl route or drag routes or anything like that. Like, no, you're going to be able to utilize this guy all around the formation. Put him out there in the slot up against a linebacker and watch him just absolutely dust him. He does have start-stop ability. He relies on a spin move a little bit more than I would like to see because I think he's overcompensating for a lack of start-stop ability purely from lower half explosiveness. That's just a tape evaluations and what my eyes are telling me based on how I've studied running backs in the past. So that's just something to be aware of. As a pure runner, he leaves a little bit to be desired. He's not overly efficient. He does have long speed to be able to break away, be able to break some big plays. Does that happen routinely at the NFL level? That I'm not sure of. So I think he's going to be more of a PPR threat, one that you can really rely on to provide a very high floor if he lands in the right offense. But to put him into this generational prospect standpoint with guys like Ashton Jeanty and Bijan Robinson in years past, I can't get there. All right, at the 103, this is where we start to see some wide receivers go off the board here, or where we could. And the order of this is really going to depend on your league. I think there are 3 big wide receivers. There's a conversation for a 4th one. We can have that in just a minute. But as far as at the 103, there's a chance that this player could even go the 101 in your league, even in a Superflex league. And I wouldn't really object to that all that much, depending on what your need is. So that's going to be worth noting as you look at your league of who has the 101, who has the 102, the 103. It's not going to be a super clear cut in years past where it's like, okay, well, the 101 really needs a wide receiver, but Ashton Jeanty's there. They're not going to pass on Jeanty to take another wide receiver like Tedero McMillan or anything like that. So that's something to keep in mind. The order of this could change. The way I see it playing out, Carnell Tate, wide receiver for Ohio State, 6'3", 195 pounds is going to go here. He's probably one of the players that I would put into a very elite prospect territory based on his movability, based on his size, an explosive wide receiver, has the ability to go up and play above the rim in contested catch situations, but has the athleticism, speed, and burst to really have command of an entire route tree in the NFL, and shows really good command of that already. Is a very refined route runner, able to create space and separation throughout routes. I think there's room for him to grow in his press release off the line of scrimmage, but that can be trained up. We don't see very many wide receivers have a super refined release package coming out in man coverage or anything like that. So that's just something to note. He does struggle to throttle down his momentum on comeback routes, but how many wide receivers are in the NFL are really running those types of routes? That's just something to be aware of. But his side-to-side momentum and lateral agility is something that's really kind of special at his size. So Carnell Tate at the 103, absolutely worthy of it. Then at the 104, we go to Jordyn Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. 6'2", 200 pounds. The 3 games that I watched on him are TCU, Mississippi State, and Texas Tech here in 2025. This is a reliable receiving option that you can move absolutely everywhere across the formation. A big-bodied wide receiver that can move into the slot and box out smaller DBs in tight windows, in contested catch situations, has really, I would classify it as special movability and quick twitch at his size, which is really going to aid him. He can play at all three levels of the field, so he's not just going to be an X wide receiver, though he does have the size to play that in the NFL, but can move into the slot, can be an advantage there. Also has the athleticism. He's not going to be a burner. He's not going to run 4.3s, but a burner to threaten deep downfield and play above the rim and go up in contested catch situations. So he, in the red zone, he can be an option for you as a mismatch down there. So Tyson's really one of those guys that he's very, very good. He's not going to have insane highlight reel catches here or there and everywhere, but he is a really, really well-rounded receiver. There is an injury history to be concerned about. I haven't gone too far down that rabbit hole to dive deep into that, but that is something that I'm aware of. But one that you're just going to be able to really put into this really solid category and not have to think all that much about. He could be a wide receiver 1 for an NFL offense right away. So Jordyn Tyson, if you want to take him at the 103, even at the 101 in a Superflex league, you're not going to get a ton of arguments here. All right, at the 105 is where I will go with Makai Lemon, wide receiver out of USC, 5'11", 195 pounds. There is an interesting difference in the way that I have evaluated Makai Lemon versus the way some of the comps that I have seen thrown out for him. And I think I can understand either one. Makai Lemon has the ability to play as a slot receiver and also as a Z receiver, flanker, to be able to stretch the field vertically. He has that versatility. As an X receiver at 5'11", I don't think that he has that skill set, but he has the movability to do it, and does have the ability to go up in contested catch situations and actually play much, much larger than his size, but that's not how you want him to routinely win at the next level. The difference that I see is I see Makai Lemon actually having a little bit more juice and top-end speed than I think a lot of other analysts have noted, or at least that what I've seen. And I will say, up to this point, I'm not taking in a ton of information from other analysts, especially if I haven't watched the player already, because I don't want that to taint or discolor my view of that prospect or paint them in a certain picture. I want the tape to do that and to spell that out for me. So when I watch Lemon, I actually see a player that can run in the 4.3s at the NFL Combine and be a Z receiver and just running deep routes all game long. Like, I could see an NFL offensive coordinator deploying Lemon in that way. Now, that would suck for fantasy purposes, but I could see that happening. The popular comp for Lemon right now that I have seen from a few other analysts is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, if you remember, Amon-Ra doesn't have crazy top-end speed. He's quicker than he is fast, and Lemon certainly has an insane 10-yard split. His 10-yard split at the NFL Combine is going to be fantastic. His burst and acceleration off the line of scrimmage is really, really solid. I think the reason why that comp comes into play is because of his understanding of zone coverage and his ability to sit down in zones, understand where that pressure is, how to create a target for his quarterback within those zones. He's a very, very high IQ wide receiver. Another player that I think you can just really put into the NFL or put into your rankings, draft him in the middle of the first round and not really think all that much about it. He is a very, very good player. I just see, and this is where the scouting combine comes into play, where we're going to have an answer to that, where that could potentially look a little bit different once we have the full picture in play. And I'm creating these rounded out scouting profiles to say, okay, actually, maybe the players that I watched on tape in the games that I watched of Michigan State, Purdue, and Oregon, maybe those DBs that he was running, actually, they all run in the 4.6s. So based on that, when he runs a 4.5 flat, okay, maybe he looked a little bit faster than what I thought he was. There's flaws in any analytical approach, any film-based approach. It's trying to recognize where those holes could be and how we can create and paint as best of a picture of a prospect as we possibly can. Makai Lemon, though, here at the 105, I think there is a conversation where he goes a little bit later in NFL drafts if he is going to run slower. But either way, if you deploy him as a full slot only player in the NFL, then he's still going to be a Amon-Ra St. Brown type player that could just soak up targets for an NFL offense. All right, let's get a tight end into the conversation here at the 106. We'll go with Kenyon Sadiq, tight end for Oregon. He is a little bit undersized for the position, 6'3", 245 pounds. It's not necessarily the weight. It is the height there where, I mean, Colson Loveland's around 240, 245, but 6'5", 6'6", right? So Kenyon Sadiq a little bit undersized there, but his movability, his receiving threat is fantastic. I think that he could immediately step into an NFL offense that has an innovative offensive coordinator and reel in 8 to 10 targets per game. And he could make a significant impact with that. He's a smooth mover, incredibly athletic for the position. And on tape, he's deployed everywhere. I mean, he's lined up at X receiver, then he's in the backfield the next play, then he's in motion, then he's as the Y, then he's as the Z. Like, he's just absolutely everywhere. And I think that an offensive coordinator that will be able to see his skill set, like a popular NFL mock draft landing spot for him is at the back end of the first round with the San Francisco 49ers as a long-term George Kittle replacement and a hybrid between Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk. And Sadiq can hold his own in run blocking. Actually, I didn't expect him to be as solid in run blocking as he is. He has the ability to seal the edge. Ask him to block an edge defender for more than 3 seconds. I don't think that he's going to be super successful in the NFL with that, but not many tight ends are. So you're going to utilize him more as a receiving threat. His ability to go up and high point the football, reel in some athletic grabs, make some ridiculous highlight reel catches. It's there. Like, he has the movability and athleticism to make that happen and to be a true receiving just star for fantasy purposes, where we saw guys like Harold Fannin Jr. come into the NFL and make an impact like that. I think that Sadiq can do that as well. So here at the 106, if you're a tight end needy team, this is about where I would take him to. Then we go to the 107. That's going to be Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington. This is a big-bodied X-receiver, 6'4", 209 pounds. If you want a contested catch savant, you want a player that can go up and play above the rim as a red zone threat, this is going to be your guy. The conversation will come into play for Boston, as it has for numerous big-bodied X-receivers coming into the league in years past. I think really accelerated by, as we as Dynasty managers and as NFL draft analysts and experts, we got burned by the Hakeem Butler, Antonio Gandy Golden, Denzel Mims, these types of players that were big body players that can make highlight reel grabs, but the NFL just did not value them the way that we thought they were going to. As we saw a move away from these, massive X receivers that can't create separation routinely down the field, but can make these contested catches. And the NFL started to signal that they're not valuing these types of players the way that they have in years past. Boston has the movability. Like, he has the athleticism, I think, to create windows of separation. He's not going to be able to break away routinely from NFL DBs. But if you're going to put him up against a player like Derek Stingley Jr. for the Houston Texans, one of the top corners in the league, who does have the size of NFL X receivers, paired up with he's a ridiculous athlete, that's a mismatch. I think he's going to lose out in that separation ability or the athleticism conversation mismatch, but he could make up for it with his ability to reel in these contested grabs. It's going to be a matter of, how does the NFL value this type of player? And I can't make that definitive answer right now. I don't have the NFL Combine testing data, so I think he's going to run in the 4.5s, but that's not a guarantee. If he runs in the 4.4s, then he's going in the first round of the NFL draft. But if he runs 4.5s, 4.6s, then there's a conversation that this guy might slip to the second round, maybe even the third round. I don't think that he should because of what we see on tape, but we've seen this play out before. So he's not a Teteroa McMillan. You take him as a top 8 player in this class. I just can't see that happening based on what we've seen in the past. He doesn't have that type of ability that McMillan did. He grades a little bit lower than that for me, but still a very talented player. It's just going to be a matter of, from a dynasty standpoint and how we're evaluating it, does he get the draft capital? Does he get the role? Does he land in the right offense that will feature him and utilize him like that? There's going to landing spot and draft capital mean everything for Denzel Boston. So here at the 107, I'll include him. I have him a little bit lower than that in my rankings. All right, now we'll go to the 108 pick, and I will go with KC Concepcion, a wide receiver out of Texas A&M, 5'11", 190 pounds. quite possibly my favorite prospect in this draft so far out of the players that I have evaluated. And his separation ability is just absolutely stupid. Like, this is a player, if you want to watch a game that has teach tape, go watch the Notre Dame tape of KC Concepcion, Texas A&M against Notre Dame. That tape is absolutely fantastic. Has the ability to create separations at all three levels, understands pacing within his routes, how to be able to accelerate slightly but then pull back and just to lull a DB to sleep and then explode through. His lateral agility is special. After the catch, he possesses a ton, but then also can go up in some contested catch situations that he has no business reeling in that ball, and he does. There are some concentration drops on tape. There's one that I watched in the 3 games that I evaluated, which was Notre Dame, South Carolina, and Texas. There's one he drops a wide open touchdown. He dusts the corner at the line of scrimmage in press coverage, and then just absolutely drops a wide open touchdown. So there are those types of things to be concerned about, but I think we need to be talking more about Concepcion than we are as the Dynasty community and in Dynasty rookie drafts. I think that he could be in this kind of range. I honestly, from a film standpoint, I put him up in the conversation with the top 3. Carnell Tate, Jordyn Tyson, Makai Lemon. He's in that conversation for me because the big missing piece in all this is when you watch that Notre Dame tape, you will see him be routinely open. Like, routinely. No DB on Notre Dame could keep up with him. And his quarterback could not get him the ball, could not hit him in stride, overthrows him. He could have had 200 to 300 yards in that game alone. So his production profile could be so much more robust than what it is. Playing at North Carolina State, I think, the first 2 years of his career, transfers to Texas A&M this past year, and then performed really, really well given the circumstances. I think you're going to see Concepcion as a late riser, and I think he's going to perform very well at the NFL Combine. All right, now here at the 109, I'm going to go with another really, I wouldn't say favorite, but a prospect that I really, really like in this class. That's Jonah Coleman, running back out of Washington, 5'9", 220 pounds. If you're looking for the most pro-ready running back in this class, aside from Jeremiyah Love, I think that Jonah Coleman needs to be in the conversation. His ability to understand what's happening at the line of scrimmage, his patience, his footwork paired with his eyes, his ability to scan the line of scrimmage and then to be able to understand what is going to happen the next half second and to put his feet into position to be able to then exploit that and get upfield, explode through it. He has the size to be a bowling ball and bounce off of contact, break tackles. He's a good receiver. He's not an elite one, but a good receiving back that can certainly be an extension of the passing game at the next level. The speed to be able to break away from defenders in the 0 to 20 yard range. He's not going to be a player that's like Travis Etienne that can break away 80-yard runs, but not many running backs in the NFL are. This is a good NFL running back. His athleticism, his testing at the combine is going to go a long way to determining what his NFL draft stock is going to be. But in a class that really is Jeremiyah Love, we'll talk about another running back here in just a second. I think Coleman could easily be the RB2 off the board. He's going to be the RB2 in my rankings unless someone just absolutely pops off later on in my prospect evaluation. So I came away very, very impressed. And actually, as I was watching Denzel Boston, you can see this as I tweet stuff out on my Twitter at KyleYNFL. You'll see I tweeted this out when I was watching Denzel Boston was I can't wait to watch the tape on number 1, Jonah Coleman, because he kept popping off while I was trying to watch Denzel Boston. He's the type of running back that I really, really value and what he brings to the table. Jonah Coleman's going to be one of my favorite guys in this class. All right, then we'll go at the what are we at? The 110. I will go back to the quarterback position with Ty Simpson. Quarterback out of Alabama, 6'2", 208 pounds. A player that I have a tough time with my evaluation with him because after watching the All-22, there's some things to really like. He's very accurate, has a live arm, not necessarily going to be an elite arm at the NFL level, but certainly enough to thrive in the NFL, and especially in a quick passing game. His accuracy in the 0 to 10 to 15 yard range is really, really impressive. It goes down when he's on the run. You see him flushed out on pressure a little bit more often than I would like. But still, you see some good things there. But then at the same time, I came away from his all-22 and said, I don't think that there was a play that I watched on tape that I was like, wow. Or like, oh, that was a really good throw. Like, you just saw good things. And based on that prospect evaluation, would I put Ty Simpson into the 110 of a Dynasty rookie draft on its own? Probably not. But we also have to take into account what's happening in the greater context that Simpson is being discussed as a potential first-round NFL draft pick. And if that's the case, then he certainly is worthy of going in the first round because he's going of Dynasty rookie drafts because he's going to be given an opportunity way more than a quarterback drafted in the 4th round would. So this is a tough one for me because would I draft Ty Simpson with the 110? No, probably not. But if I desperately needed a quarterback, and he does get first round draft capital, then yeah, I think that I have to because I can't let a quarterback go when I need that quarterback depth in Superflex formats in particular. So this is a tough one for me right now where I'm going to mock him here in this exercise, but also giving a ton of asterisks next to it to say, I don't know how the NFL is particularly feeling about him right now based on the all-22 evaluation that I did of him. I wouldn't draft him in the first round of the NFL draft, maybe in the mid-second to late second round, but crazier things have happened. All right, and then here with the last 2 picks, the 111 and the 112, what I wanted to do here was include a couple players that I've seen mocked. I've watched more players than these 2, but I wanted to at least talk about them here because I think this is what we could see happen, and then we'll get to the other players at a later time. Jadarian Price, running back out of Notre Dame, so that is 2 running backs out of Notre Dame here within the first round. Jadarian Price, 5'11", 210 pounds, is a no-nonsense runner, get downhill in a hurry, has really unexpected athleticism as far as speed and his ability to break angles in the open field. There's a play against Arkansas where he literally outruns 9 players on the defense in short succession. Spectacular acceleration, really good athlete. Just played behind Jeremiyah Love, so doesn't have the reps to really signal that he can be a refined running back and approaching the line of scrimmage with patience, understanding what he's seeing. The footwork is also a concern here. He's a player that I could easily see going in the 3rd, 4th round of the NFL draft just based on his potential and his athleticism, and then get into NFL training camp and an NFL offense is going to have to put in significant work with him before they can signal, okay, we feel comfortable actually putting him out there on the field. This is a rough running back class. This is not a class that you can look at and say, well, I can get because I drafted a running back here at the 111, that means that I've got a really rock solid player to move forward with. I just don't think that that's the case. So he's got a lot of development left to do, but that's to be expected when he doesn't have the reps that a lot of these other players do. Hit or miss pass catching reps on tape. Obviously, he's not being utilized that way when you do have an elite receiving weapon in Jeremiyah Love in your own offense. But there are some plays that I saw on tape where the receiving ability just doesn't look there. And then there are others where you're like, okay, he actually was able to make something happen after the catch. But I don't think that he's going to be a guy that you rely on heavily as a pass catching option. And then pass protection was a little bit hit or miss as well. So what's his role in the NFL? I think a first and second down player in a committee is probably what we're looking at here as he potentially develops into something more. And with the amount of free agent running backs this year, combined with how deep this class was before, I just don't know how many open seats there are going to be for Jadarian Price. The 112, Chris Bell, wide receiver out of Louisville, is the player that I'll include here just to talk about. Because I think that there are going to be some people that he'll have his fans. 6'2", 220 pounds. This is a big-bodied wide receiver with very, very good athleticism. What I saw on tape was a very, very solid athlete with incredible receiving ability. His ability to go up and high point the football, reel in these catches in tight windows, make plays outside of his frame, reel that in, very, very natural as a receiver. And then you see a understanding after the catch for him to be able to stop, make defenders miss in the open field. Like, he can make things happen after the catch for you. He's still got a lot to learn as far as a route runner. He was not utilized heavily as a diverse route runner at Louisville and what we saw on tape. And then in release, you're just not in press release. You're just not seeing that refinement. You're not seeing he rounds out his routes a lot that you see. So he's not leaning into trying to make a defender go one way, create the separation with quick snap of his hips and go the other way and create that separation in that sense. That's just, I think, refinement, and for him to be able to continue learning that. The comp that I had for him after evaluating his tape was, I think early on in his career, we could see him utilized like Deebo Samuel and what he has been for San Francisco and then Washington, and a player that you're getting the ball into his hands either very, very close to the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage and letting him create after the catch, all while you're training him up in how to be a refined NFL wide receiver. So I wanted to include him here because the upside is certainly there. Like if you want to take a shot on a wide receiver who in year 2, year 3 could be just a phenomenal wide receiver, like I think Chris Bell has the traits there to mold and to shape. It's just a matter of you need to get him into an offense that has that understanding as well and is willing to get the ball into his hands early on in his career versus not feeling comfortable putting him out on the field because he's not going to be able to create that separation in the way that he needs to at the NFL level. All right, there's the top 12, first round of a rookie mock draft. That was Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana at the 101. Jeremiyah Love at the 102, running back out of Notre Dame. Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State at 103. Jordyn Tyson at the 104. Makai Lemon at the 105. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon at the 106. Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington at the 107. Concepcion, wide receiver out of Texas A&M at the 108. Jonah Coleman, Ty Simpson, Jadarian Price at the 109, 110, and 111 respectively. And then Chris Bell rounding things out here at the 112. Let me know in the YouTube comments who you think I need to go and study next, who I should be including in the first round of our next mock draft that I'll do here on the channel very soon with you guys. I've got a ton more content coming your way with as I got through the majority of these, top tier guys in this class. Now we can really start to crank out a ton more content. So make sure that you guys are subscribing to the channel. I'm going to be here with you guys all throughout Dynasty Rookie Draft season and making sure that you guys are ready to go. The Combine's almost here. We're going to talk about that. And then make sure that you're heading over to the Substack. This is where I'm releasing my in-depth profiles right now with the Dynasty Scouting Notebook. And that's absolutely free. All of my content's free for you guys. All that I ask is that you hit the like button on this video. That helps push it to new people. Comment. That helps push it even further. And then that will just continue to help support my work. So appreciate you all. I will be back soon with another video. Until then, take care.